Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about a special substance today called mufkuts. Mufkuts, yes, that's right. I didn't stumble my words. Mufkuts is probably a very bad translation from the Egyptians. I don't think for a second they called this stuff mufkuts. There are a lot of bad translations in English for Egyptian words. Some of them are pretty decent. Lots, though, owing to the strangeness of the Egyptian alphabet and language, aren't necessarily translated through Greek as well as they could be. So Mufkuts is called shamana. It's called the highwood firestone. It's the powder of projection, and it is exactly that. It's a powder, but it comes from gold. Pyramid texts talk about this stuff. There are lots of references to this in Egyptian stelae and hieroglyphs, and so on. It was an extremely important substance to the Egyptians. Now, in 1904, Flinders Petrie, one of the premier Egyptologists of certainly of his time, in the latter part of it's in the first part there of the 20th century, was doing an expedition for the Egypt Exploration Fund, and they were trying to map out the Sinai Peninsula, which is not in Egypt, obviously. They found something really interesting on a plateau about 2,500 feet up Mount Horeb, which is just here, you'll see on this map. And on this plateau was an Egyptian temple, and an unmistakably Egyptian temple. It is said that Moses and the Israelites kind of stopped off at this mountain, and this is where the famous burning bush incident happened, where Moses went up the mountain and met with God, and brought down the Ten Commandments, and found that the Israelites were worshipping a boiled up, if you like, melted down melted their earrings, made a golden calf, and Moses is obviously not very happy with this, and he breaks the commandments and has a go at the Israelites. So I'm going to read a passage or a few passages from the book The Lost Secrets of the Sacred Ark by Lawrence Gardner. And this is a very cool book because it gives you some rationale behind what this stuff was and the importance it had, not just for the Egyptians but for all of alchemy going forward. So it's an extremely important substance, and there are different interpretations of what this stuff is, and certainly through time, a lot of people have conjectured about what this is. But I'm going to read you just a little sliver from his book that just gives you an outline of what this temple was and so on. And it goes like this. The various pharaonic cartouches and inscriptions denote an extended time frame from the 4th dynasty through the Middle Kingdom. This is the Serabit Al-Khadim, the temple. With a particular emphasis on the 12th dynasty, the New Kingdom, especially the 18th dynasty time of Moses, to the Ramesside era, culminating with the 20th dynasty. This represents an operative use of the temple through about 1,500 years. Dedicated to the goddess Hathor, and you'll see Hathor's face here on this plinth. It's actually a bowl, a massive bowl, what do you call them, throughout its operative life. The Serabit temple appears to have ceased all function during the 12th century BC, when Egypt fell into financial decline and to outside influence, leading eventually to the Greek rule of the Ptolemies. It was, however, fully operational before the Giza pyramids were built, and continued in service beyond the eras of Tutankhamun and Ramesses the Great throughout the magnificent period of the Lotus Eaters, and the god kings. But why would there have been such an important Egyptian temple hundreds of miles away from the pharaonic centers across the Red Sea gulfs at the top of a desolate mountain? And it does make one wonder slightly why they kept it away from Egypt. Maybe there are secrets to this substance. It's an interesting, and this is, as I say, going to be, what I'm going to do is 2 or 3 chapters on this, I think, because there's a lot of information to cover here. But yeah, we have a white powder. It's burned down, boiled down from gold as much as it possibly can be. Not just molten, but there are other substances I don't think we quite know exactly. I don't know how this thing is made, but you can find monatomic gold today, and I've just ordered some because it's supposed to have some really interesting health benefits to it. And obviously, I won't be taking it in the doses that the Egyptians were. They were much more able to get hold of gold than I am, unfortunately. That's what it is. Going to read some more. There were obviously round tables, trays and saucers, together with alabaster vases and cups. This is inside the temple, from the Petri on the discovery of the temple, many of which were shaped like lotus flowers. In addition, the room housed a good collection of glazed plaques, cartouches, scarabs, and sacred ornaments designed with spirals, diagonal squares, and basket work. The explorers were baffled enough by these, but they were further confounded by the discovery of a metallurgist's crucible and a considerable amount of pure white powder concealed beneath carefully laid flagstones. So this is that powder. They had no idea what it was. It was extremely fine. They say it would literally disappear into their fingers upon rubbing it. Again, strange stuff, but you're going to find out that this is probably the alchemist's philosopher's stone here, and this is referenced in this book. At this stage of the research, another valuable substance associated with the Serabit temple came into the equation: gold. On one of the rock tablets near to the Hathor cave entrance was found a representation of Tutmosis the IV in the presence of Hathor. Before him were 2 offering stands topped with lotus flowers, and behind him a man bearing a conical object described as white bread. Another stela details the mason Ankbid offering 2 conical bread cakes to the king, and there are similar portrayals elsewhere in the temple complex. Behind her is the treasurer Sobekotep, who holds in readiness a conical loaf of white bread. Importantly, treasurer Sobekotep is described elsewhere in the temple inscriptions as a man who brought the noble precious stone to his majesty. Just one more before I make some comments. But according to the records, Petri found no gold at the Serabit temple on Mount Horeb. In fact, the Egyptian Exploration Society writers make the specific point in their records that there is no evidence of gold ever being mined in Sinai. But that does not prove that gold was never taken there. So what do we have? We have a temple away from Egypt. Some very prominent and important metallurgists were making something. We don't exactly know what it was. Now we're going to move on to the Israelites, and I've made it very clear that the Israelites were a 17th, 18th dynasty pharaonic line, and we're going to pay particular attention, as Lawrence Gardner does, to the Israelites here, because we have the Bible, obviously, and the talk of Shewbread and Manna and so on in the Bible, and this should be quite elucidating. We're talking about Exodus 32:20, It explains, and he took the calf which they had made and burnt it in the fire and ground it to powder and strawed it upon the water and made the children of Israel drink it. This is the supposed punishment for the Israelites moulding the golden calf out of gold. In practice, this sounds rather more like a ritual than a punishment, and even though the latter is now the story it is conveyed, Aaron had previously melted the gold in the fire to mould the image. That's the image of the golden calf. But what Moses did was plainly different, because firing gold produces molten gold, not powder. So a reference here that's not fully explainable. Irenaeus Philalethes was a 17th century alchemist, and he wrote a book called Secrets Revealed after becoming quite annoyed that his fraternity, if you like, the larger group of alchemists and so on, were not being particularly open to the public about what they were doing. And he says of the Philosopher's Stone, here, elixir vitae, our stone is nothing but gold, digested to the highest degree of purity and subtle fixation. Our gold, no longer vulgar is the ultimate gold of nature. So he's telling us it's gold here. It is called a stone by virtue of its fixed nature. It resists the action of fire as successfully as any stone. In species, it is gold, more pure than the purest. It is fixed and incombustible like a stone, but its appearance is that of a very fine powder. Okay, so we have a quote here as well from Nicholas Flamel, another I think he came along slightly later, but we're going to have a look at this. Sorry. Flamel, he quotes, "Our stone is gold, but it is a perfectly prepared gold. Our stone is a fire powder of gold that is our philosopher's stone." This is Nicholas Flamel, I think, talking from Germany, I think, in the late 1600s. Again, a contemporary, I think, of Philalethes. I just want to read on a little more. Shewbread, this is very interesting here. Returning once again to Moses and the mountain, we discover the actual bread to which both the Lord's Prayer and the Bethlehem refer. It appears in Exodus 25:30 and is called shewbread. The fixed shoe is no more than an obsolete spelling of show, and the bread's original description gained this rendering from the English 16th century Bible translator William Tyndall. He notes that it was shewbread because it was in the presence and sight of the Lord. A better translation would have been bread of the presence or presence loaves, and it is correctly given in the Septuagint. 1 Samuel 21:6 and 1 Kings 1 Samuel 21:6. And I'm just going to finish off with a couple of quotes here. I'm not going to go on too long. He was said to have been filled with wisdom. This is Uri ben Hur, up Mount Horeb. Again, the Horeb and the Israelites are connected here straightforwardly. He was said to have been filled with wisdom, understanding, and knowledge after having taken the bread. We also learn that Bezalel was a skilled goldsmith and a craftsman in all manner of cunning works. Exodus 35:31 and 33. So 31 to 33. Sorry. He was placed in charge of building the Ark of the Covenant and the Tabernacle. In detailing how Bezalel should manufacture various crowns, rings, bowls, and candlesticks, all of pure gold, the text adds shewbread to the list of precious items, and without further explanation, the process is seen to be completed. Exodus 39:37. This sequence is later recalled in the New Testament book of Hebrews 9:1 and 2, which states that at the Sinai covenant, there were within the holy confines of the tabernacle a candlestick and a table with the shewbread. So here, obvious references to shewbread, and I will just finish off. So it's very interesting, just to give a little commentary. This is just being found out now to be an extremely important substance. It's actually monatomic gold that they produced here thousands of years ago. 1,500 years the temple was in operation. Monatomic gold, and I'm going to do a chapter 2 on this, has a certain resonance to it. It actually beats and resonates with a resonance that human beings resonate to as well. It has no north and south polarities. They call it orbitally rearranged gold. It's a very strange stuff indeed, and I mean it's weird, and I'm going to get on to how it is weird later on. Now, just to go through, make sure I haven't missed anything out. I'm going to just quickly again, sorry, I'm going to quote just one more little morsel for you before I go. Yeah, I think we're good. Hopefully you stayed with me to the end here. About the sacred manna, though, from Lawrence Gardner, The Lost Secrets of the Sacred Grail. And again, a great book. He's a really interesting researcher. I don't fully subscribe to everything he says, but his work is stellar. He's actually Sir Lawrence Gardner now, because he's done certain work for the royals in this country, and setting out their some of the peerage and so on, and finding out that they have some interesting relationships to the Egyptians and King David and the King David line and so on. Anyway, sacred manna. Still at Mount Horeb with Moses and the Israelites, we discover more biblical references to the mysterious white substance. Exodus 16:15 states that when the children of Israel saw it, they said to one another, "It is manna," for they wish not what it was. And Moses said unto them, "This is the bread which the Lord hath given you to eat." Subsequently, the manna is described as being white, resembling seed, and with a sweet taste like honey. I think they used to put frankincense into this bread, make it taste nicer. Exodus 16:31. So we have a strange temple, the manufacture of this stuff from gold. No gold found at the temple itself, but this would tend to make sense, given I'm sure many people have been up the mountain and taken what gold they could find, but no one was interested particularly in this white powder. Subsequently, people had become interested in the white powder, and it might just be the key to understanding these concepts of projection and meeting with the gods, because it was, we think, a drug, and a very powerful kind of drug. I'll be taking some soon, so this is all for health. It's a natural kind of health benefit thing. So I'm going to leave that there. I hope that's interesting for you. Chapter 2 is going to be coming up. We're going to get into much more of our modern perceptions of what this stuff is. But there are plenty. I mean, I just read you a few verses from the book. It's a very cool book, and he goes into substantially more detail. Take care, guys. Nice one. See you soon. Bye bye.